Well, it's that time again. The third episode of WandaVision officially is out. We're going to do our spoilercast. As always, I am the host of this here show, Armin, and I am joined by Mitch.
What's up? You can follow me at Mitch692.
Let's see, where do we begin with this one? Because at the end of last episode, we saw the reality changing, jumping into a different sitcom. So this definitely, picks up the pieces right then and there with a twist, that we saw. Oh, she's pregnant now. Okay.
And she's bigger than she was in the last episode.
Yeah. I mean, within like 10 minutes, she's like due any moment. So it's like, oh, wow, this definitely is ramping up the speed of what is happening. So
that was really hurt.
Yeah.
Like, something growing that quick, that big, like, oh god, especially twins.
Yeah. And it's this interesting approach to it where if you watch the episode, Vision is way more concerned about everything that's happening to her. She's sort of like oblivious. She's like, oh yeah, I'm just 6 months, 9 months. And it's a kind of like she's very opposite of Vision, who feels more human in his reactions in this. Like, it's a very weird approach to it, which, again, lends into how the episode unfolds and where this might take us, because, I mean, throughout the episode, we definitely get more, I guess, cracks in what is happening here and how
That's
they're...
the exact word I was going to use.
Yeah, it's interesting. Well, I mean, how do you take it from the beginning?
Well, I mean... just to go off the cracks, like you can take from this that Agatha isn't the one doing it.
Yeah.
Or Agnes. Agnes isn't the one behind it. So she's completely ruled out. I think we kind of knew that from the marketing anyway. But like you can officially marketing can be edited and taken out of context. This is like, no, she has nothing to do with this. I just think for some reason or another, there's a lot of witch magic characters in this town.
Yeah,
because we got her for that. We've also got Dottie, and Dottie is she's a captain of comics. She is Arcana from the Squadron Supreme. If they're gonna go that route, I don't know. Could just be a nice little Easter egg. But
I mean, you mentioned that, but we know Squadron Supreme was in fact something they were working on at one point. So,
and there are rumors they're going to be in Loki. So
yeah,
maybe Agnes put an emphasis on her importance in the last episode, so maybe Arcana has something to do with it. I don't know. Maybe that's why she doesn't trust Wanda, because she knows something about her that we don't. But I think if this episode, more than anything, it tells me that Wanda knows exactly what's going on. Like she has to have an. If she doesn't, she has an idea, because she can't just push Monica out. I'm not going to call her Jodie. It's my mother's name, and it's weird. No, I'm just going to push Monica out. This I can't even call it a different reality, because we know it's not by the end of the episode.
Yeah,
like this is a physical place that they've all got cornered off. So,
well,
it's weird.
That's kind of the thing, because we see at the end, and again, there is more clues in here of Mephisto, which. At this point, I think we're all sort of formulating that sort of theory.
See, I'm not convinced it's Mephisto. I think Mephisto's going to be something else.
Possibly. I mean, he could be one of those presence villains. Maybe he's pulling some strings, and it's one of his disciples or something.
I'm convinced it's the Cthulhu, or however you pronounce that name. I'm convinced.
Yeah. I mean. Very well could be, for all we know, right?
It's a very similar sort of character. It's got more of a connection to her. Yes, Mephisto was the reason why she has Billy and Tommy in the first place, because obviously they're made from shards of his soul, and that's how they're alive, or some comics crap that
yeah
lets them be a thing. But whether that's the case in this, I don't know. But it seems to be she's just made them herself. Because she's got to be manipulating more things than we understand in this.
That's sort of the takeaway at the end, right? Because she gets straight up yeeted out of there by frickin' Wanda. She's just like, no, I don't like what you're telling me here after she brings up Ultron and reminds Wanda of Pietro. And it's sort of like, it feels like Wanda has taken all the trauma and PTSD, put up a literal wall around it, and if somebody cracks into it, she just pushes you out and pretends it didn't happen. Like,
yeah, it's like she's had a mental breakdown for one reason or another. I assume Vision was at the final straw, or maybe Mephisto or Cthulhu, whoever it's going to be, shows up and it's just like, hey, bang, and then she snaps and makes this, like, as you say, she puts up a literal wall between her and the outside world. Because even the residents know something's not right. They know they're trapped there. Like the doctor says, maybe we won't go on vacation because small towns can't escape them. And then Agnes, and for a minute I thought it was Ralph, and I thought she got really racist, and it kind of clocked that he said Herb, and I was like, thank God I didn't do that. Oh, he looks better in the dark. I'm just like, Agnes, what are you doing? Why?
Yeah.
No, it's yeah, and like those two obviously know what's going on. The only one that doesn't appear to know what's going on is Vision.
Yeah.
Because Monica must know, because she had the sword on that. Unless like Wanda manifested that thing on her. I can't remember if she was wearing that sword pendant when she walked in the house or not. I've only seen it the once. I'm going to watch it again. But it's like, why doesn't Monica know anything? If she I can't pin that bit down. Like, is it a case of if you go in this place, you just forget and become part of it? And it's one of those situations?
Right.
And that explains why you had the sword beekeeper. But
maybe it could be, it's something like that. Or maybe they were looking at it like, was it, I think it was Pleasantville in Marvel Comics, where they put a bunch of criminals in there and then they like wiped their mind, and it was very... maybe they're doing an angle on that, because that was...
That's an interesting idea, actually, yeah.
I mean, that could be it. Like, maybe there's magical characters or characters that are somehow tied to something. They're like, we can dump them in this. Like,
well, you say that. You could make an interesting connection, because you said this on Facebook, and I completely dismissed what you were trying to get at, and now I've actually kind of clocked on it. That this does have an Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Easter egg in it.
That honestly blew my mind, and again, it was my wife that brought it to me, because apparently she can't remember anything but the most obscure references in history of TV. And she was like, oh, the blue soap, they mentioned that in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. because it was loaded with mind-forgetting stuff. I was like, huh? So I looked it up, and it's like, yeah, that is a thing, though.
Yeah. And also, there's a couple of actors from S.H.I.E.L.D.
Yeah.
I think the Doctor's one. The beekeeper guy's another one, and one of the guys on the little council thing, the neighborhood watch Vision.
Yes.
Went doing the last ones on them. So that's 4 Easter eggs for Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. we've had right now.
Yeah.
Whether they're going to connect it properly to that with those actors, I don't know. I highly doubt it. I think it's probably just a fun Easter egg with the blue soap.
Yeah.
But what a pull! It's just like, that connected to Tahiti.
Yeah, it's a very weird, because even in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. they mention, it's about making you like forget, right? It's about a chemical that's in there, false memories.
Yeah, false memories. That's how they put them in the Tahiti project.
Yeah.
So it's, and we know for a fact it's that, because the box with the soap was blue, and the woman in the commercial says, "Oh, you read my mind." Like, it's 100% a S.H.I.E.L.D. Easter egg. There's no way around it.
Yeah.
So, S.H.I.E.L.D. is canon officially.
Which, again, in this episode, there's a lot of things to question and start building up the mystery. And even though we get a few clues, we now know that the 2 twins are Speed and Wiccan. So no Viv just yet.
But they make a couple of references to Viv.
Yeah.
Which, I say references, they kind of like hint that it's possible she can be a thing. It's like, is it human or a synthesoid? Which, thank God you finally called Vision a synthesoid and not an android.
Yeah.
I appreciate that, Marvel. So there's that. And then it's like, let's hope for a girl. And then, Viv's not strictly, what should I say? You could make an argument that Viv is Wanda's kid. Kind of is, kind of isn't. If you haven't, spoilers, you haven't read the Vision run. So Viv's a strong possibility. Maybe not this season. I think they're going to focus on Billy and Tommy, because let's get the 2 kids out of the way first and then have the third.
Yeah, and it's clearly the build up to the Young Avengers, like here's your thing, like that's what we're building up towards. And
Which the Young Avengers did have a teenage Vision on it.
true, yeah.
So, which, in fairness, no one likes and no one remembers it. So get him the hell out of there and put Viv on it. I mean, sure, that way you're kind of making Young Avengers the Maximoff family, but
Yeah. Well, I mean, why the hell not at this point? There's plenty of directions, I guess, to go in when it comes to what they're doing in the MCU. So, and there's plenty of characters, and if you really start adding up all the characters in different franchises, by the time the Young Avengers or New Avengers unite, there's already going to be like 15 of them. It's like, oh wow, you guys really you went hard in on this one. So
no wonder they can have a show, or they'll need a show for themselves to fit them all in each episode.
legit. I mean, it is one of these things. So going further into that, what else kind of stood out to you in this episode that's like worth spoiler discussing?
I'm not 100% sure. As I said, I've only seen it once, which actually most people have. So I need to watch it again. But from just this once, it didn't really stand. Nothing stood out to me like the other episodes. It seemed to be more just completely focused on the kids, but I know that's not true.
I was gonna say the same thing. Like, how typically the first episode of a series hits the ground running, and then the second one is a slowdown. It felt like this was
the slowdown,
right? Like it felt like and maybe they did when they extended the episodes, which may be why there's 2 episodes per decade now, which is the way they're kind of planning when they stretched out from 6 to 9 episodes. That maybe was supposed to be a little bit bigger, but then they decided a different style of storytelling because they revealed before this came out. They're like, oh, we went in to shoot the first episode and it only took 2 days. So they clearly overestimated. So they kind of, went a different approach. And I felt like there was a little bit of disconnect in this one, not in a negative way, but it felt like it was somewhat going in a different direction than the last 2. Like, it's TV though, so you kind of have these episodes. It's kind of common. So I'm not saying that's a bad thing, but it was a little different, It's
also for a show like this, especially being your first one, like trying to find your footing that quickly when you're a movie studio, you don't know how to make TV shows. Very different.
Yeah. Which
there's bound to be a ton of stuff in this, and it's nice that they actually called Pietro again.
Yeah.
It's nice to not hear fucking Peter.
That was a little strange. I was like, oh wow, they actually said his name. Okay, that's cool.
And Ultron. Ultron exists. They didn't forget him.
Yeah, I wonder how do they handle this? Because like I said, my pie in the sky prediction is you're just gonna get Ultron to show up, but he'll have human form.
I say I'm begging for Spader. Just bring in Spader, please. He'll fit so perfectly in this. Which wasn't Spader in The Office?
Yes.
And they've said they're gonna have an Office episode.
I mean, I guess there's your in, right?
Like, come on, you can't drop that and have that connection there. It's got to be. Though how that would work, I don't know. Like, Ultron in a work environment, we'll see. But going back to the blue soap thing, why is that a reference? I think it's my biggest question for this is why is the blue soap a reference?
Yeah, because we can clearly understand. Every one of these commercials, they even said it. There's meaning behind them. They're not in there just for fun. Like, they specifically planted these in here. And again, the only thing I can think of is that reference, or if you really want to be obscure, you could pull in the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. reference, because soap and water, but it's like, that's too far out of there. So it has to be Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. that one, and only that one reference. Like, I don't know what else there could be. Like,
because, like, I'm not 100% clear on what the watch was supposed to be about. Like, obviously, I get the Strucker point, but why specifically a watch? Like, the Stark toaster, I can understand because Vision. Like, Vision is the toaster. The toaster's also the bomb that killed her parents. You got a man, woman outside of it. Watch, maybe she stole time from her or something. I don't know. Maybe they're kind of hinting towards that. What she thinks was her past wasn't necessarily her past.
Maybe. Like, maybe parts of it have been manipulated. I mean...
Because from the marketing, we know they're going to deal with that part of her origin. So maybe they're going to expand. That could be one way they point to her being a mutant or something like that. I don't know. I kind of hope they don't go the mutant route, and it's just like, hey, you know, you weren't from here, like you actually were raised on like Wonder Gore. If they go the Wonder Gore route, fantastic. I'm a happy bunny all round. But
yeah, no, it's an interesting one because again, I don't know. Like, I have no idea where they could be pulling from other than that one reference. So,
because there were talks that Doomstat was going to be in this.
Yes, yep.
And it's like, are we sure it's Doomstat, or are we not just confusing it with Wonder Gore? Eastern European architecture is all kind of the same. As a European, no.
Yeah.
You know, it's all that like cross-hatched sort of look, but you know, so could it be a Wonder Gore thing? Which, if it's a Wonder Gore thing again, it leads credence to Cthulhu. My brain is just trying to connect dots to what I want. I know I shouldn't be doing that. It should be what I think it's going to go towards. But it's like everything I want can add up. You just have to. The right pieces need to fall in place.
Still feeling the whole Mephisto thing because in the episode, there's the moment where the stork comes alive that was on the wall. It's like,
And the stork wasn't going away.
Exactly. So,
I saw that. I was like, what the hell's a swan doing here? So that's not a swan, is he, in the bed? The damn stork.
Yeah.
I loved how they did that. The natural, like, fake.
Yeah.
It looked kind of real, but not really real. It was great. But actually, sitting there thinking about what they did in this show, Monica makes a reference to people on the moon.
Yup.
Now, is that any humans reference, or is that just a sword reference?
To me, that is an Inhumans reference because I need it to be. I need that to be the reference.
We're both guilty of being like, I need it to be this.
I just... so I'm going to take it as that, and I don't care what they say. So...
I'm going to agree. I'll back it up.
I mean, we kind of
the more
know...
people that say it, the people can't be wrong.
Exactly. So, you know, we kind of know that that's a thing, and different directions they're going in. And even recently, like, actually an interview that went up, like, the day before this episode, Kevin Feige was like, yeah, we're not done with the multiverse. I mean, it's in these projects, but it's going to be in other projects as well. It's like, okay, so we're not done with this, and this is going to have ramifications, and they're dropping a lot of Easter eggs in this, you know, that you can clearly see some are very obscure. So
yeah. I just hope that, you know, we get the Squadron, like, this at least leads to that in some extent.
Yeah.
Like, hey, maybe she just pulled Dottie from the multiverse, because we know this has to connect to that to some extent.
Yeah.
So it's like, is she living are they currently in a different multiverse or a universe, and that's why it's all weird? It's just like she's pulled this little pocket.
I was gonna say that'd be kind of interesting if like pockets of reality start converging. I mean,
kind of like a little incursion.
Yeah.
Like just these two specific points have become an incursion, and that's why it's all going to crack apart.
I mean, that would really work in their favor then. So that could be a thing.
Because if you set the incursions off, you can drag that out for years.
Yes. And you could literally explain anything through it, just being like, Deadpool, well, here you go. Yeah.
Actually, that'd be a really good place for it. Like, have your first big incursion in Deadpool. And it's just like, I guess I'm here now. Like the two worlds, just like an eclipse, they just moved past each other, but he stayed. He's like, oh, man.
Well, I do also want to mention, there is like a moment in this episode that I was like, what are they doing with this? Like, and specifically that Vision now is more openly using his powers in front of people. Like, and then there's the moment where he uses it with his, like, the doctor, right? And the doctor's like, oh, we can't leave here. Like, it's almost like he's like struggling, but he's not. Like, if he tells them we're locked in here and we're doomed, like, they're all gonna die. Like, they're all acting in this weird superficial. It's like the perfect world, but they know they're in a simulation lie almost. It's very jarring.
Yeah.
That moment was.
It's as you say, it's like a Pleasantville, but the people that are trapped in there really are one, or not the people that are trapped in there. Like the ones that is purely made for is Vision.
Mm-hmm.
Like Wanda's the warden of everything, but Vision's the prisoner in there.
Yeah.
Because he's clearly got to be the voice of reason for why she has to let go. Because I can see this show being about the 5 stages of grief.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not entirely sure we've started to see that yet. I think we're still maybe in denial stage. Well, in fact, you could say this episode is denial because she's like completely ignored the facts that like Pietro's dead.
Oh yeah.
It's like yes, she knows he's dead because she says I was a twin, but it's like this sheer sound of his name in Ultron is like, no, you're out. Like I don't want to think about that sort of trauma in her life. So no, maybe next episode we get a bit more of the next step, which I'm not sure. Obviously, acceptance is one of them, and that's going to be the last one. Because why wouldn't it be?
Yeah, I mean that could make sense, honestly. Like,
Because with a character like Wanda, and she's such a massive, majority of her character is about mental health. Like to completely ignore that in a show like this, I think would be a mistake.
Yeah.
And going on about mental health and like healthcare and how
yeah.
she of all people desperately needs it is when you don't really want someone who can warp reality having a mental breakdown. Like,
right.
Stuff could go bad.
Which again, that's something that we're gonna keep calling back to. I think next episode we're definitely gonna see a little bit more because clearly they ended with showing us more of Sword out there. So I think we're gonna finally get into what's happening out there in that world, which will lead ultimately to swing back around to start sort of jumping around, right? Like
Yeah. Because we know Monica's new. Because everyone's like, she's new here. She doesn't have a home. She doesn't have this. So where Monica is currently residing, we don't know.
How did she get in here? Like that's another mystery we're gonna have to explore.
So how does Jimmy Woo and Darcy factor into this?
Yeah,
like we know they're both working for Sword, but like, do they get in there? Like, are more people going to be able to come into this place and eventually bring the walls down, or what? We don't know.
And why is it taking so long for Doctor Strange to show up? Like, what's he doing? Hasn't he like been contacted or heard about anything? Again, there's so many things here, and there's a couple. Well, there is a Doctor Strange reference in this, with the whole.
Is it?
Yeah, with the butterflies. Like,
Oh yeah, the Hoary Host, the Hogarth, yeah.
So,
interesting. I suppose that'd be a cool little reference.
Yeah. So I think give it like 2 episodes. I think by the ending of episode 5, we're gonna be like, oh, that's the direction, because then you got to ramp up to the finale.
5, 6, like the 7, 8, and 9 are going to be the big 3. I think the first 6 are going to be your slow. Each episode's a layer on the onion.
Yeah.
Being peeled away.
Which again, I think that works for them. That does make sense as well. So
I say for this type of a show, I think you need to be like that. Like, obviously, you're going to be building up to your big fight. You can't just have that in the last 3 weeks and be like, okay, that was the show of 2 halves. Like, you have to slowly build up to the action, but we'll see how it goes.
Yeah. So, I mean, with that, we kind of talked about everything that's in this that's loaded. If you guys
actually, I have one last question. Last question. Has everything we've seen of Sword been at night?
I mean, there's a couple in the ads. There's some daytime stuff, but
everything outside of the town.
Yes, it seems like it's nighttime. Yeah.
So this all be happening in one night, and it's a case of the time in there moving a lot quicker.
That could honestly be it.
It'd be interesting to see, because I know we've seen set pictures of Monica walking out of a Sword base, and it's in the daytime.
Yeah.
So maybe, and also Jimmy Woo asking Wanda who's doing this to you is like, kind of, to me anyway, gives off that is only literally we've just been dumped here as it started.
Yeah.
Like, we don't necessarily know that, but the whole, like, seeing them pull up in the wedding car, like, yeah, this has just started, all this sort of stuff. So it'd be interesting to see how they play that off, because it's one way to get around. Like, why isn't Doctor Strange there? It's like, oh, because it's literally only been 3 hours.
True, that might be it though, because again, like it's like the quantum realm, right? Like, look at how long Scott was apparently there, but no, to him it was like minutes, but to us years. So that could honestly probably tie into it as well, because we don't know how they're pulling this in. So we could get some sort of reveal being like, yeah, it's also tied to the quantum realm as well. Oh, okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, because we know she can manipulate time because that chicken.
Yeah. Yep.
I'm obsessed with that chicken. That's just like how she's. Every time I talk about the show, it's like that chicken. Like, she just keeps she's never been able to do it before. Like, I feel like no one's talking about it. That's a huge deal for her power set.
Yeah.
It's crazy. Unless it's not time, it's just like, no, I'm going to make it into eggs because I've been manipulated. So. But hey, that will hopefully get answered at some point. But...
I mean, we got a handful of episodes to go, so I mean, what do we got? 6 to go, so
yeah, 6, yeah,
pretty damn good. So again, we shall be we'll get back next week. Audio commentary for the first episode should be out to members anytime now. Might already be out, so we'll do some more of those, and hopefully you guys enjoyed this. If you guys have theories, ideas, or anything, let us know down below, and we'll get back around to it. Probably next week in time for this show, and I'll go see if there's any of the best theories, and maybe we can read one for next week and talk about it as well. That might be interested to do, see what people can come up with, because any theory might be viable at this point.
I was gonna say, anyone's got as much chance as anyone else of being spot on with this thing. Like, I'm making a Twitter theory thread just to see how far off I am.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna come back to this and see how wrong I was, just for the shits and gigs of it.
This is all them bending over backwards just to be able to fit New Mutants into the MCU continuity.
I mean, I ain't seen it. That might make me watch it.
Well, I suppose you could watch worse things that take place in 1984. So
I ain't wasting time on that.
Well, good. So, yeah, everybody, let us know your theories, ideas, and we'll get back to it next week.